Hey guys, it's Joonas here, the founder of Edge. So I've been getting a lot of questions recently about our results, specifically the sort of more granular detail about how our results work and what every number means. So just thought I'd record a quick video to go through a breakdown of our historical results and also answer some of the most common questions on a video so that everyone has access to those answers, and I'm sure it'll be insightful for many of you. So firstly, my background, for those not familiar, I've got a background in quant finance. I've been a professional derivatives trader for over 6 years. I was at Bet365 for 5 years as a senior trader there, and I've been betting successfully myself for 8 years. So today's agenda, I'm going to go through just the headline performance numbers first. Then I'm going to do a deep dive into the detailed performance of the system, both on the cash betting side and also on the bonus bet tipping side as well. And then I'm going to go through those questions about performance that we've been getting recently. So headline numbers. So key things to know here. We've got the racing system. We've got the same game multi system. And we've got this bonus bet conversion system. And so on the racing side, since inception, we're winning at 31% profit on turnover. That's the best performing tipping service in Australia based on profit on turnover. And you can see there the asterisk, that's actually assuming a 90% conversion of bonuses to cash. Historically, we convert far better than that, but we like to be conservative there. And on average, members, if you're backing every tip for $50 stakes, which is the max bet that you can have with the promotions, you'd be averaging $3,100 of profit a month. Then on the same game multi side, profit on turnover also very good at 23% historically, and the average monthly profit's $1,800, again assuming $50 stakes. Then on the bonus bet conversion to cash, I mentioned that we in our stats we assume a 90% conversion bonuses to cash. So what that means is whenever a $50 bonus bet's returned, as an example, we assume that that's got $45 of cash value. So you're losing 10% converting it to cash because it is tricky to convert bonus to cash. The average bettor in Australia converts it close to 25%, which means they're getting $12.50 of value, cash value out of a $50 bonus bet. We're getting over 100% conversion to cash, which is phenomenal, and in fact well over. So historically we're converting at 112.4%, which is spectacular, and we'll break that down into racing versus sport in a moment, so hang on for that. So now for a bit more detailed analysis. So you can see all these, and these are updated daily. You can see it at edgeloader.com/results. But since inception, we launched in, we've actually been operating for over 2 years, but on June the 1st in 2020, we launched the Platinum Racing service, which offers daily racing tips. And if you'd had $50 on each tip then, you'd be up 37 grand, just over. As I mentioned, we've been averaging $3,100 per month. The best month's been over 5 grand. The worst month was still up 1,700. 95% profitable weeks. Biggest day's been over $1 grand. The worst day was down $540. So these are kind of the headline numbers here on the website. Couple of other things here to keep an eye on for those more mathematically inclined, or maybe those from the traditional markets. So Sharpe ratio here, you might be asking, what's that? So what that is the returns divided by the standard deviation of returns. So a high Sharpe ratio, the higher the better, basically. In the traditional world, hedge funds are probably targeting 1.5, 2 Sharpes. So at 53.7, this is off the charts good. And profit on turnover here, you can see 31%. So that's the Platinum Racing system. One other thing before I move on is we are assuming $50 stakes here. So if you were having $25 stakes, for example, your profit would be half that. If on the flip side you were betting an average of $100 stakes, and you can do that on weekends when you've got a lot of bookies offering promotions. If you're averaging $100 stakes, you'd be up 74 grand. Same game multi-system, so 1,400 tips just over. We launched this in September the 1st, 2020. If you backed everything for $50 stakes, you'd be up $16,700. It's all tax-free, and the profit on turnover is tracking at 23%. Their best month, or average month, 1,800. Best month, 4,000, just over, and the worst month, slightly profitable. Same game multis. These are seasonal. So at the moment, We've got NRL, AFL, NBA is still on. So it's fantastic at the moment. Then it'll go quiet sometimes for a few weeks, and then the next season comes through, and then it ramps up again. So there's that seasonal component, which impacts the sort of the edge that we see. But over the course of month to month, quarter to quarter, the average monthly profit's pretty stable. Now moving into bonus bet results, which I get lots of questions on. So essentially, and this will be not news to the long-term members, but with the racing in the same game multi systems, you'll get a bonus bet back about one in three. And then it's a question of, okay, I've got this bonus, but how do I turn that into real money? So our system tips mainly racing, golf, and a little bit of soccer to convert bonuses into cash. If you can convert, like if you look around at other services, they might convert bonus bets into cash at 70%, 80%, 90% is considered very competitive, 100% is pretty much off the charts, 112%. People think you're joking, but we're able to do that. So let's go into this. And I'll start at the bottom here. So detailed results, racing. So since bonus bets tips started in racing, and that was on the 12th of October last year, 2020, we've had 432 tips. Yeah, winners, losers, strike rates 11.3%. Average winning odds here. So if you're betting with bonus bets on all our racing tips, you'd be up $657. And remember, you don't keep the stake in bonus bets, which is one of the key things. That's why we're betting on bigger prices, right around that $8 to $20 mark. So racing, it's converting bonuses into cash at 115.2%. And this column here is, and it's very commonly asked when people see our bonus bet conversion method working so well, they ask, well, what should I just back them with cash as well? And this is kind of where you find your answer to that. So with a sample size of 432, if you were backing all the racing tips, bonus bet tips, you'd be winning at 26.7% profit on turnover, which in itself would be probably top 3 performing racing tipping services in Australia. And this is kind of just a bolt-on additional service that we've created. How do we do that? It's kind of the next question. It's a very common question. We use the same racing model that we use for the cash tips, but we're just targeting prices around that $8 to $20 mark. So we're looking for late movers on good volume, looking at all the corporate prices and trying to work out where's that value in that $8 to $20 range. Before I move into golf, the other thing I'd say is in the last 6 months, there's been an unprecedented number of racing promotions. We've got new bookies popping up. It's just promos galore in racing. Fantastic for us, right? But my main point here is what the average punter does with these promotions is they just back favourites. They just back the favourite, the second or the third. So what happens, these front ends of the markets are compressed and we're finding extremely good value in that $8 to $15 range. So it's been nice. The other thing, one more thing I'll say before I move on to golf is that these racing bonus bet tips, they're negatively correlated with the performance of our cash tips. Because when the front ends of the markets perform, the bonus bets tend to underperform. When the front ends of the markets underperform, so we're losing on the cash bets, the bonus bets outperform. So there's actually a nice implied hedge in there as well from that. So that's the racing side. So then on the golf side, we've got two methods in golf. We've got one, you just follow the golf bonus bet tips and just hope for the best. And if you were doing that, you'd be converting bonuses into cash at 97.5%. If you were backing the golf tips just with cash, you'd be winning at 7.6%. Again, good sample size here, 310. The second method is to back and lay, and we don't back and lay at the same time. Wait for them to firm in golf. And if you haven't seen the golf videos, check them out if you're interested in more detail here. But in golf, there's a lot of price volatility. We're picking a lot of good movers that'll firm in from $24 into $4, and you get these amazing laying opportunities. If you follow that system, you'd be converting at bonuses into cash at 86%. So slightly worse than 97.5, but the variance in returns is a lot lower. You're consistently converting every week, whereas with the other tips, you might go 8-9 days without a winner, and then all of a sudden you get 3 in a row. So it's kind of a variance preference there for members. Soccer, we primarily focus on correct score markets, and this one's performing extremely well as well, converting it at bonus bets into cash at 133%. If you're just backing them with cash, you'd be winning at 46.5%. So performing extremely well. I would say it's a slightly lower sample here, but still performing extremely well. Rugby league, we've only had a few tips there, but we still managed to find some edge there on a small sample given. And overall, then you might ask, okay, sure, racing, golf, etc. Follow the bonus bet tips. How would I go overall? And that's where we volume adjust it, and you'd be converting at 112.4%, which was that number I mentioned a couple of slides ago. If you're backing every bonus bet tip with cash, you'd be winning at 27.4%. So this in itself is, to be honest, a product which we could offer to the wider market, but we're purely focused on using this and offering it to our Edge Alerter members for bonus bet conversion. Okay, now I'm going to move into questions. So these are the most common questions I've been getting in the last, call it 3 months. And I'm going to go, there's a slide for each question. So here's a question about, since the bonus bets convert into cash at higher than the 90%, how are the results actually? Fair question. Tony, how much would I have made if I just bet on Saturday or Wednesday? Common, because we're tipping every day. What if you've got something else to do other than just betting every day? We've all got lives, so that's a good question. We'll answer that. Chris, how much is the profit based on by bookie? How much could it reasonably be scaled? Do I need to back every tip to get value? How much starting bankroll do we assume? How does non-promo betting, which you do for account sustainability purposes, impact the results? Good question. Paul, when bonus bets are about to expire, if there aren't enough bonus bet tips using the staking method, can I stake up on bonus bets? Fair question, because some bookies do have, most of them have 7-day expiry. Sometimes you'll even see shorter ones. It's a good question. Tony, how are the results if I stake over the 50% max bonus stake? So question 1, since we're converting it greater than 90%, so we're converting at 112.4 as opposed to the assumed 90, how does that impact the results? So the way I'd answer that is around 1 in 3 tips result in a bonus bet back. We're realizing a conversion of 112% versus 90% in our results. Difference is 22 percentage points. So therefore, since 1 in every 3 times we're getting a 22% uplift, you multiply that out and we're getting a 7.33% uplift in the total profit on turnover. So instead of the 31% profit on turnover which we report, we're actually winning at 38.33%, which is absolutely phenomenal. Question 2, Tony, if I just bet on a Saturday and a Wednesday, I think this was Saturday and a Wednesday. So Saturday and Wednesday, the big racing days, as you may already know. So how would you go if you just bet on those days? I'm not interested in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the other days, just the big days. Good question. And it all comes down to turnover. About 80% of the racing tips are on either a Saturday or a Wednesday. We're pushing out about 40 tips per week. Therefore, 80% of 40 is about 32 tips that come out on just a Saturday or a Wednesday. So if you're betting $50 units on 32 tips, it's a turnover of $1,600. If we work on the 31% profit on turnover rate, just multiply this out and you get 496. So if you're betting just Saturday, just Wednesday, $50 units, that's your expected profit. You could miss some and it'd be lower. You could double stake on Saturdays because you've got truckloads of bookmakers doing the same race. But that's just based off an average 50 stake. Question 3 from Chris. How much is the profit based on bookie? So if I've just got a sports bet account, how much could I make, or how much would you have gone if you just bet with Bet365? Well, we don't record it to that minutia, but the maths is pretty simple actually. It just comes down to your turnover. So the Tab and Sportsbet, they've got about 30 racing promos each week. Most others have about 20. So for example, if you said, okay, I've only got a bet, how would I have gone with Bet365? I'd say, well, they average about 20 racing tips per week, which being $50 units, that's $1,000 turnover, which multiplied by 31% profit on turnover rates, 310 profit per week. So it all kind of averages out in the medium to long term. And it all comes down to just turnover multiplied by the edge, which is really the formula, and I'll touch on that in a sec. Question 4 from John, how much could it reasonably be scaled? Again, expected profits, just your turnover times the edge in it. And on a Saturday, you can obviously scale it a lot more. You could have your laptop here, you could have your phone here, and you could have your You could have your iPad over there or whatever. So you could bet with multiple bookies fairly easily. We find that quite a few say that they're betting with 2 or 3 on a Saturday. 4 to 6 a bit more advanced. Beyond 6, you start needing assistance, but if the money stacks up, then why not hire a few? So yeah, so 2 to 3 bookies on a Saturday. So on a Saturday, you'll get average 20 race, 20 tips. So if you're betting with 3, for example, that's 60 races, 60 bets. So if you're betting on 60 bets at 50 stakes, that's 3K turnover. So 3K turnover multiplied by the 31% profit on turnover comes out at just over $900 of edge if you're betting with 3 bookies on a Saturday. Question 5 from Andrew: do I need to back every tip to get value? Well, no, and it might be this might have answered itself given the questions just before it. But one way to think about it is just to think about the expectancy on a bet level. So if you've got if you're gonna have a $50 bet, whenever a tip comes through, if you have a $50 bet on it, at that 31% profit on turnover expectancy, you're just picking up you're essentially picking up $15.50 of expected profit from that one bet. So if you do that 10 times, it's obviously 155. So you just use this formula to work out if it's worth it for you, and it is for most. Question 6, Adam: how much of a starting bankroll did we assume in the results? So you might have seen the results back. I'll go a few slides back here. So what did we assume for here? Well, we're assuming $50 stakes. We suggest having a staking rule of 5% of your betting bankroll per race or game. So because we're assuming $50 stakes, that implies that we're assuming a $1,000 starting betting bankroll. Question 7 from Kristen. We've got a few more questions, not too many more. How does non-promo betting done for account sustainability impact the results? Good question. And for those who have been a member for a longer term, you'll be aware of the importance of account sustainability and how it's about maximizing the lifetime value of accounts, not just going in for the big quick cash grab. So I'll go through 4 methods, just touch on them, and then I'll just come up with I'll show you the quick formula for working out how much of an impact your non-promo betting has. So there's this $1.90 method, which we suggest members use if you want to get some quick non-promo mug betting done. So, because ultimately we're trying to get to a point where the bookies think you're a mug punter who's just going to dump thousands over the upcoming years. And because if that's what they think, then they're going to give you more and more promos and they're not going to feel threatened. So if you bet the minus line with one bookie at $1.90 and the plus line at $1.90 with another bookie, you're perfectly hedged if you're betting the same stake. If you say, for example, you have 100 on the minus and 100 on the plus, you're outlaying $200, you're definitely going to return $190. So you're burning $10. $10 divided by 200 is 5%. So you're burning 5% in expectancy for your mug betting here. Very, very good, very easy system. And it's basically just a little donation for the bookies every now and then to keep them happy. So that's one method, very useful. Racing signals. So you could bet on the racing signals without promo insurance. So tips come through in racing and you know that a certain bookie is not doing the promotion in that race, but you just use them anyway, just for your turnover, your non-promo turnover. That's a good method. And without promo insurance, the racing tips win at about 2-3% profit on turnover. So you're coming out square there anyway with that. So that's a good method. The downside is you do need to be just sort of ready to go with it, as opposed to the $1.90 method. You can just bet kind of in your own time. Bonus bet signals. Yep. So when we get a bonus bet tip, yep, you could use a bookie without the promo there. The expectancy is about 20%. Again, you're sort of waiting around for the bonus bet tips to come through. If you've got that time, go for it. Golf bonus bets hedging. So I touched on the golf system earlier. So in golf, our golf system, our golf model ends up picking a lot of good movers that come in from $24 into $4, etc. And then they'll flap around. And so you get a lot of back and lay opportunities, backing on the bonus bets with bookies and then laying on Betfair. The other way to do it instead of laying on Betfair is just to back other runners, other players around it when you've got a big firmer. This is a little bit more of an advanced method, but it's one way to do it. We had a good example last week where we had a $67 golf bonus bet tip who got into a playoff and was $2.80 in the playoff, and the other two players were $2.50 and $3.50. So in that instance, you could have gone in there and hit the $2.50 and the $3.50 hard to hedge your book. And with those two bets, you'd be not only hedging, but you'd also be looking like a mug. We've got a tool for members, the portfolio position tool, which helps you work out how much you need to bet on both legs to hedge yourself, just for your information. Before I go to the next slide, so here's method, just using this $1.90 example, because again, back to the question, how much non-promo betting, like how does that impact the results? That's the question. So let's just say over a week, you're following the system you have $1,000 down with the system. So you're going to expect to win 31% profit on turnover on that 1,000. And then you do this $1.90 method also for 1,000 of turnover. And the expectancies there is -5%. So because we're staking 1,000 and 1,000, we just add these two up and we get an expectancy of 26%. So we've still got a nice expectancy, and half our betting's mug betting. This is a very, very useful and simple method that many members use. Question 8. So from Paul, when bonus bets are about to expire, if there aren't enough tips, bonus bet tips using the staking method, can I stake up on bonus bets? So basically, if you're stuck with 5 bonus bets and they're about to expire in 3 hours, what do you do? And say 2 bonus bet tips come through, it's like, I've still got a stack that I can't get rid of. Do I just have them all on that? Well, I suggest, it's firstly, that's okay to do it as long as you're not getting stuck too often. And I say that because in the long run, it'll sort of just come out in the wash. Look, if you're stuck, send me a message and I'll see if I can help you out. But ideally, you follow that staking method with a bonus bet. So if the tip's $10 or less, have the full bonus bet on it. If it's 10 to 20, have half. If it's 20 plus, have a quarter. If you're stuck, get in touch with me. The other thing I'd say just before I go on is you can look for opportunities on Betfair, see if you can find a laying opportunity, $8, $9, $10, $12 range to guarantee conversion. Final question from Tony now. How are the results if I stake up over the 50% max stake allowed? Look, I wouldn't suggest you go over the 50. I guess the ultimate question here, I think, that's being asked is there enough edge in the system to just back it with non-promotions? And there's a little bit of edge. There's about 2-3% profit on turnover edge if you do go over the 50, but I wouldn't. There's just not quite enough to warrant you sort of having 100 and then 50 with one bookie eligible, 50 with the same bookie not eligible. You're just watering down the edge. So I wouldn't suggest that method. Here's the sort of breakdown of how you'd work out how much edge there is if you do go over the 50. All right, so in summary, we've got talked through a bunch of things, but at the end of the day, the only formula you need to know with this system and with any system, whether it's in the betting world or the trading world or the investment world, to work out expected profit, all it is the profit on turnover percentage edge. So how much edge is there in their system? We talk about 31%. It's actually higher than that because of the way the bonus bets are converting, but let's just go with 31% to be conservative. So your expected profit is simply 31% multiplied by how much you're turning over. So if you're turning over 1,000 a week, you're expecting to make 310 that week. That's as simple as it is. On a single standalone bet basis, of course, the variance is going to be higher, but on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, the variance is extremely low, as you can see from the historical results, like how we've only had 5% losing weeks. Cool, hope that's cleared up a few things. Hope that's brought some of the numbers to life. If you've got any questions about that or anything else, I'm best contactable on Telegram there, or you can send us an email. Cheers, guys.